can take the future, even if you fail. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels, when I know the time is right for me, I'll cross the street. I have a dream. I have a dream, a fantasy to help me through reality, and my destination makes it worth the while, pushing through the darkness, still another mile. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels, when I know the time is right for me, I cross the street. I have a dream. I cross the street. I have a dream. I have a dream, a song to sing, to help me cope with anything. If you see the wonder of a fairy tale, you can take the future, even if you fail. I believe in angels, something good in everything I see. I believe in angels, when I know the time is right for me, I'll cross the street. I have a dream. I'll cross the street. I have a dream.
Standing room only, certainly testament to how loved and respected Dunks was in our community. Thank you all for being here. Could I remind you, if you haven't already done so, to switch off your phones or pop them onto silent for the service? That would be much appreciated. When the Dunkley kids were young, Jim and Anne took them all to an ABBA concert, and on their way home to Binge and Worry, they sang their hearts out to ABBA in the car, so it feels very fitting that we begin with one of their songs today. Well, good morning, everyone, and thank you for being here today. There's no easy way to begin a service like this. The pain of Dunk's death brings with it so many emotions: grief, sadness, and a longing to understand. And while we wish things were different, today is not about how he died, it's about how he lived. We are here today because we love Dunks, and we still do. And together we will remember a father, a son, a brother, an uncle and friend who we are all going to miss. There is no right or wrong way to feel today, but one thing is clear. Dunk's family don't want this service to dwell on the sadness. It's important that we hold space for happy memories, those moments with Dunks that made us smile and roll our eyes all at the same time. Laughter, tears, and everything in between are all welcome. Our hearts are heavy, but there is a lot to love. There's a lot of love and kindness in this room, and it will carry us through today and the days ahead. Seeing so many of you here this morning, family and friends who have travelled from near and far, is a reminder of the impact Dunk's life has made. And it means so much to Paris, Ruby, Logan, to Jim and Anne, and to all of his family to be able to share a day of reflection and celebration with you all. And together, we are going to show him the love and the respect that he richly deserves. Throughout his life, Dunks was surrounded by people who loved and cared. He was the adored father of Paris, Ruby and Logan, the loved son of Jim and Anne, the little brother of Stephen, Sue, Peter, Andrew and Carolyn, cherished Uncle Day Day to his nieces and nephews. He was the former husband and friend of Robin and devoted companion of his beloved dog Charlie. To extended family and to his many friends here this morning, you are all an important part of his life, and I'm sure if he could, he would thank you all for the friendships and love that's been shared. As we spend this time together to remember Dunks fondly, may it also be a reminder of how much he has meant to so many. David Norton Dunkley, known as Dunks, Crackers, Day Day, and many other nicknames, was many things to many people. First and foremost, he was a proud and loving father who supported and encouraged his kids to be their best. He loved them fiercely, celebrated their victories, and carried their love with him wherever he went. He never missed a chance to cheer them on, to guide them, and he was so proud of the kind and respectful young adults they've become. Dunks was also the much-loved baby of the Dunkley family, and I have no doubt he gave Jim and Anne a few grey hairs when he was young. He was always getting into his share of trouble, but in their eyes he could do no wrong, and they loved him unconditionally. He was a little brother who looked up to his siblings and respected them deeply, and he was a very proud Uncle Day Day who was always up for a laugh and a good time. No matter where life took him, Dunks valued the close relationship he had with his parents, his siblings and their families. Dunks was also a great mate, which is obvious. He was the one who'd check in, send the text, make the call, or turn up for a cold beer and a chinwag. And while he could frustrate the hell out of you at times, when it mattered, he'd do anything for anyone. Dunks really did make friends easily, and he remained close to many of his mates from Binjanworry and Yarram. Along with his close friendships in both Lindenow and Bairnsdale, Dunks knew how lucky he was to have such a solid circle of mates who shared in the good times and the tough ones too. When we think of Dunks, we think of his energy and enthusiasm in everything he did, whether it was playing footy, selling cars, crunching numbers, fundraising, making coffees, baling hay, or driving hundreds, sometimes thousands of kilometres. Dunks gave his all. He wasn't afraid of giving anything a go, and he also wasn't afraid to tell you like it was. We all know Dunks wasn't one for sugarcoating. Even when you asked, if you asked his opinion, and even when you didn't, you got it, whether you liked it or not. He was upfront and he was direct, and his passion is a big part of why so many people were drawn to him. A genuine doer with a big heart and a can-do spirit, Dunks took pride in doing things properly. He loved people, he loved a laugh, and he loved looking after others. I'm sure if he was here now, he'd be telling us to stop dorking around and share some happy memories, so that's exactly what we're going to do. Before I invite our speakers forward, here is just a little about Dunks as remembered by his family. Born in Yarram, Dunks was the youngest of 6 children, and growing up in a big family, there was always lots going on, and Dunks found his place early, usually right in the middle of the mischief. With 5 older siblings, he had to be quick and a little bit cheeky, and he mastered that skill well. Dunks kept life interesting from a very young age, and no one was ever bored when he was around. Carolyn remembered her little brother was a cute little blondie who got away with everything, and the apple didn't fall far from the tree. I was told that Logan was exactly the same at a young age. He attended Binjanworry Primary School, which was across the paddock from the dairy farm, and went on to Yarram High. 8-day fortnights weren't uncommon for Dunks when it came to school, and on the days he didn't attend, he would join his dad milking, he'd go fishing, or he'd simply just wag. As everyone here would know, Dunk Dunks was passionate about his footy, both playing and coaching and supporting. As a young boy, he played footy for Devon, and the first AFL team he followed were the Saints. His love for the game only grew stronger over the years, but when it came to which team he supported, loyalty for Dunks always came down to his family. He switched from the Saints to the Swans when his brother Andrew started playing, then to the Bulldogs when his nephew Josh was drafted. He eventually switched to the Brisbane Lions, and Dunks was front and centre celebrating after Josh's AFL Grand Final win last year. Robin told me that he copped a bit of slack over the years for changing teams, which in footy circles is not the done thing. But Dunks didn't care what others thought. His heart followed his family, and that's all that mattered to him. Dunks left school in Year 10 to start an apprenticeship as a fitter and turner in Sandringham. From Melbourne, he moved around a bit playing footy, living in Griffith, and then he went as far north as Darwin. His footy in Darwin as a brand new recruit didn't go as planned. He ran out onto the ground, stepped in a hole, and he sprained his ankle. Not a great start, but he did stay in Darwin for a bit, and he enjoyed being in the warmer climate. And being a blondie and a bit of a charmer, he caught the attention of plenty of girls along the way. In 1994, Dunks moved back south to Bairnsdale. He lived next door to his brother Stephen and got a job at the big garage. His boss, Les Alexander, said to him at the time, "The only way you'll keep your job is to play for Lindenau," and so that's what he did. He was a big, noisy, aggressive gun full forward with an ego to match. He kicked many goals for the Cats, and boy, did he love telling everyone how good he was. While working at the big garage, Dunks crossed paths with local girl Robin Crane. They began dating and they married in a small ceremony in Fiji in 1996. Married life began living in Eastwood, and in 1997 they took the leap in a new direction and they took over Fisherman's Wharf in Paynesville, which is now known as Pier 70. They bought a house in Paynesville, which they renovated, and for the next 4 years they both worked the long hours required in hospitality. Dunks went from selling cars to becoming a barista, and having been given the nickname Crack from his days at Lindenau, it soon turned into Crackaccino. With Robin's support, they created a welcoming space at the wharf for the locals and visitors, and it was a challenging but very exciting time in their life. The next big adventure was starting a family. Paris arrived in 2002, followed by Ruby in 2003 and Logan in 2005. 3 kids under the age of 4 was a busy time for them both. Their lives were pretty full on, exactly the way Dunks liked it. Another family member we also must mention is Charlie the chocolate labradoodle. Dunks loved him as much, if not more, than the kids, and they knew this. Any chance he could, Dunks would have Charlie with him, and he was a loyal and loving 4-legged friend. From Paynesville, Dunks and Robin then built a house on a property at Forge Creek, and he returned to finance, joining his brother Stephen in his business. From there, he moved to WHK and made a whole new circle of friends. The finance group were a great fun crew, and Dunks loved them all. There were lots of laughs and silly costumes at Christmas parties, and his workmates will all have so many memories of fun stories to share about their mate Dunks. Always thinking outside the box, Dunks also began growing and selling lucerne on their land for a bit of extra income. He was a forward thinker and always looking for new opportunities. In 2013, Dunks and Robin moved to Lindenau. The kids had all started school and playing sports, and being Dunkleys, footy and netball featured prominently. Paris played netball and Logan played junior footy at Lindenau, and Dunks was a passionate and supportive dad, always on the sidelines cheering them on. He was instrumental in organising the infamous Fev Days, and he was involved in fundraising and helping behind the scenes in any way that he could. If there was an idea floated for a way to engage the community and have fun, Dunks would be the first to run with it. His involvement at the Lindenau Football Netball Club as a past player, a president and coach and friend was greatly valued and appreciated, and it helped shape the club into what it is today. Everyone is proud also to have Logan back at Lindenau this year to play senior footy and to follow in his dad's steps. That same year, another adventure began when Dunks and Robin purchased a small church in Lindenau. They set about transforming it into a beautiful B&B, alter ego. Dunks' passion for success then extended into advertising, and to his family he became the king of merchandise. He had the alter ego logo printed on anything and everything. He also did this with A1 deliveries. So much so that there's a golf buggy at South Pines, which is covered totally in A1 stickers, as are the cricket stumps at St Mary's Nagle Cricket Club. He loved getting his business's name out there. However, Ruby told me one day that she found an alter ego cap at a local op shop that someone happened to donate, which didn't make her dad too happy. In 2013, Paris started playing netball with Bairnsdale. Ruby and Logan followed, and so did Dunks. He was one of those sports parents who never missed a game, rain or shine, and he was always cheering the loudest from the sidelines. Dunks loved watching his kids play, and he was always their number one supporter. As a parent, a helper, and a Bairnsdale Football Netball Club member, he put his hand up and said yes for anything. Setting up the coffee machine on game days, footy admin, timing, timekeeping, scoring, goal umpiring, whatever was needed, he was happy to do. Dunks also coached the Bairnsdale Under-16 Premiership side in 2018, their first in that grade, and his message to that group has stayed with many. Put the team first and take the stairs. Do the hard work, show up for each other, earn it together. That was Dunks on and off the field. Apparently, Dunks also fancied himself as the A-grade coach of the netball team and said to Paris on more than one occasion that he would make a great coach. Another example of his passionate nature was when he had words with one of the netball umpire's husbands at one match. Dunks didn't agree with some of the decisions his wife was making during a game, and he made it known. That was Dunks, speaking his mind and calling as he saw it. And much like his time at Lindenau, the Bairnsdale Football Netball Club also valued his contributions greatly. In 2018, another chapter began with the start of A1 deliveries. Again, Dunks worked long hours, and with Robin's support, they built up a successful delivery business. He developed a commercial property at the top end of town, and for the last 8 years, he established himself as a reliable and respected local business operator. When Dunks and Robin separated in 2023, he threw himself into his work. He purchased a place in South Yarra and enjoyed the buzz of city life, going to lots of footy matches, nights out and making new friends. He divided his time between Melbourne and Bairnsdale, and he spent as much time as he could with his kids and his mates. Over time, Dunks added several trucks to the fleet, of which he was very proud, and life was busy with travel, going to the footy and family. In more recent months, life for Dunks had become unsettled, and some of the decisions that he made took him in a direction that none of us could have imagined. However, the last chapter of his life does not define the man we all knew and loved. What defines him is the deep love that he had for his family and his community, the passion and the energy he brought to the things that he loved, and the loyalty and fun he showed in the friendships that he shared. That's the Dunks that we all choose to remember, and that's the Dunks that will stay with us always. To continue sharing some memories from people who knew him the best, I'm going to invite his brother Stephen to begin our tribute section and share a bit about his baby brother, Dunks. Thanks, Stephen.
Sorry if this sounds a little bit repetitive, but some of the stories that I remember from David back in the day are pretty close. So, David was born in the Yarram Hospital on the 4th of September 1969, the youngest child of Anne and Jim Dunkley, who at the time resided in Devon North in an old 3-bedroom shack. That's about all it was, on the share farm of Mrs. Jean Douglas. With 6 children under 8 years of age, times were tough. Mum and Dad were resilient and worked extremely hard to manage the load, with only the eldest 2 kids at primary school. It was a typical country family. Everyone had chores to do, nappies to change, washing, cooking, and of course, the fucking cows. All the children were active and grew up fast. We quickly learned that helping Mum and Dad with the chores and the cows came first. And later, we might get a meal and were able to play some sport, but only after the chores. All 6 kids slept in one room that was barely big enough for the beds. one room, shared a bathroom and the outhouse toilet. That was our world. Suzanne, 6 years of age, and Carolyn, 4 at the time, helped to look after David in the early years. I remember one time, whilst they were playing, picnics in the front garden, a large black snake crawled out of the flower bed onto the lawn and over David, over the top of his nappy. The girl screamed hysterically and woke Dad from his slumber. He ran out the front yard, swung a shovel to remove the snake's head. We had many of these experiences growing up with snakes, when we all hated snakes. At this time, we were also introduced to the Devon Football Club by Yarram High School teacher, Mr. Kevin Clark, who actually lived up the road from where we were in the old shack. This club would later become an integral part of our family journey. In 1972, the family moved to Binjamori and purchased the family dairy farm from the Mickey family. Whilst exciting in terms of a new adventure, we moved further away from the main town. With only one primary school, a tennis court, a cricket oval, and of course, the Bingy Hall. Ragwort, thistles, and more bloody cows. Suzanne, Peter, Andrew and Carolyn all went to Binjamori Primary School. It was a sad time for young David, as he was left at home and had to wait a couple of years before he could join his siblings at school. He became quite attached to Mum at the time, always needing to sit on her lap and to be cuddled. It was clear that he missed his brothers and sisters. Binjamori had a relatively new brick veneer 3-bedroom house built in front of the old farmhouse, with 1 bedroom each for Suzanne, Carolyn, and for Mum and Dad. Whilst my three other brothers and I all slept together in the bungalow, which was conveniently obscured from the house. From 4 years old, David had to learn fast, living, sleeping, fighting with his 3 brothers in the bungalow. It wasn't 5 stars, but it worked. I cherish these lasting memories of pool tournaments, pillow fights, wet beds, spiders, guns, and later covering up from each other, from Mum and Dad. We all became quite inseparable. We had turns on motorbikes, tractors, cars, guns. We wrestled each other and all tested the water, growing up in various ways. David learnt fast from his older siblings. Hell, there wasn't much to do out in the farm, apart from the chores. But he watched, he listened, he observed, and I'm sure this helped him grow up very quickly. We were all fast runners back in the day, whether running away from Dad after he's chasing us with a piece of black polythene pipe, or memories of David running away from Peter after he crashed Stick's motorbike and hid down the creek. It was a fun time. Another time, Mum was working as a nurse at Yarram Hospital driving home late at night, she rolled the car. We were all sitting at the kitchen table together waiting for her to come home when the phone rang. And I remember David said, "Thank God Mum's okay. What would we do without her?" David was affectionately called Rack growing up. At the time, this was related to the time he spent sleeping in the bungalow, but later in life it became apparent that it wasn't about the sleeping. He loved his bed. Before his teenage years, David was a pest, cheeky to the core, knew how to get away with things. By the late 70s and early 80s, we all started moving away. But the bond of the brothers remained, particularly on the sports field. Devon Football Netball Club was our escape from life on the farm. Although only 6 months a year, on Saturdays, we would pack up the car, all 6 kids and Mum and Dad, and travel off to games around South Gippsland. Some of our fondest memories were watching the girls play netball and the boys play football. David was selected to play in the 1987 Grand Final, Devon versus Fish Creek, at 17 years of age. 180 centimetres tall and 76 kilos wringing wet. He had a mouth on him. Yappy, cheeky, but he was just a little pissant. But he contributed 2 goals in that premiership year, in the premiership team. He was a contributor. All part of teamwork, which we learnt and grew up with at a very young age. That set him on his footy journey and took him far and wide. David was highly skilled and very handy footballer, later on a club leader and coach. After courting for a few years, David and Robin married in 1996 on a beach in Fiji. They built a life together with their 3 beautiful children, Paris, Ruby and Logan, who have all grown into wonderful individuals, forging their own lives in travel, business and sports, and a credit to both of their parents. David and Robin enjoyed much business success with a successful bread delivery service, Fisherman's Wharf, the Alter Ego Church Stay, and their Australia Post contract from 2018. David also worked at the Big Garage and spent time honing his skills in sales. You don't want to buy something off David because he wants to make the most money at the top end, but he also wants to buy the cheapest at the bottom end. So he was taught how to do that by one of the best in Leslie Alexander back in the day. David was a high achiever, but he was bloody pedantic. Cleanliness was a priority, and the boys often referred to him as Tim the Toolman, as he accumulated everything that opened and shut over his successful business years. Affectionately known as Dad to Paris, Ruby and Logan, Uncle Day Day to his nieces and nephews, and Rack to his siblings and cousins. He was always the favourite amongst everyone. Over the last few months, the courage of Robin, Paris, Ruby and Logan have shone through in every aspect of this trying and unexpected family experience. Both Suzanne and Carolyn have also done remarkable jobs in exceptionally challenging circumstances. It's a tragedy that someone so young, intelligent, loved, and with so much life to live, felt that this was their only path. Today, we put our beloved brother, son, and father to rest. We all love you, Rack. Rest in peace.
Thanks, Stephen. Not an easy thing to do, but yeah, beautiful tribute. Now one of Dunks' lifelong friends, Murray Francis, is going to come up and share with us a few memories of their mischievous days together back when they were young. Thanks, Murray.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. I pretty much knew, I'd never been here before, but I pretty much knew that wherever it was going to be, that Dave would fill the stadium. I'm Murray Muzz, or as David liked to call me, Beaky. I've got notes today. I don't always, but I really didn't want him looking down and yelling out, "Beaky, just land the plane, would you?" We first came across each other approximately 50 years ago when the Dunkley family came, as has been mentioned, to Dairy Farm in Devon North, not far from where we still live today. We were both the youngest of 6 kids, and we're only 6 days apart. The difference being he had 3 older brothers and 2 sisters, and I had 5 older sisters. He had to be a bit harder than me in the early days, fair to say. We didn't go to primary school together, as the Dunkley family had moved to Bingie by the time we both started. Bingie is where I have my earliest memory of David, though. We were visiting their farm, and was when the old house was still behind the new one. And he said to me, "Hey, do you want a bird to take home?" Back then it was a bit early to take a bird home, you know what I mean? But he said, "Just stay here." And he went racing into the house, the old house. Didn't hear anything for a while. And then I just hear this old blood-curdling scream. "Ah! Help!" So he'd gone in and got stuck down, the floor had given way and he'd got stuck. And I'm there stuck, I'm thinking, do I help or do I go be Lassie and go back and get help, you know? I thought, he's alive, why this kid, and I was only a kid myself. I'll skip that bit because it's sort of been said. Before high school started, we were united at the mighty Devon Football Club and played in Fifths Force and with a host of other farming and non-farming families, and it was such a great community. And we played in lots of finals in the juniors, mainly Force. We had really good sides each year, and we all idolised the senior players back then, and we were envious of the boys our age who had older brothers playing, David, Adam and Lee. But I think David had the best stories when he came amongst us. And that wasn't all to do with the football, that was the exploits at the Bingie Disco as well that he'd come and tell us about. When we went off to high school, the lad was in full swing. I can't name all the things that he and I and everyone else got up to, but I picked out a few things that I remember. And I better not name names of teachers because I don't know how long the statute of limitations is. Our ag science teacher, David, every time we had ag science, he'd roll up and he'd say, he'd go to walk in the door, and the ag science teacher would say, "Dunkley, you know better than to come to class. Get out to the hothouse, as usual, and fix it up." So that was David's ag science year, maybe it might have been 18 months. He didn't come to class. He went down and watered everything in the hothouse. But as you would know, when you get down to the hothouse, there was a reason that he was sent down there as well, that it was immaculate, you know, and he had it better than it had ever been since it had been there. So that was the same ag science teacher was our cricket coach. And David, for some unknown reason, pestered him to drive the bus when we were going to Sale once. Don't panic. In the end, Rodney gave in, and he didn't let him drive the bus, but he said, "I can't let you drive the bus, David, but if you can steer while I read the paper, we can make this work." So there's David sitting in the middle seat, steering the steering wheel, looking around at us, how good's this? You know, and so he didn't have to use the accelerator, he just had the steering wheel and changed the gear. So he thought he was pretty good at that. He also had a running war with the canteen lady who was Scottish, Kitty Stevens. And I don't know how many times I would have heard her say to him, "David, get out and don't come back for a week." He also had a little bit of an incident one day with the Bunsen burners. He didn't actually have the burner hooked up, of course, so he just turned it on and lit it from the tap, and just happened to be a girl was sitting at the end of the row, and of course her hair caught alight. So he didn't get in trouble for that. He actually got in trouble for what the teacher thought was he was assaulting a girl. So he's whacking it to get it out. So I think he thought that was a win, because if the teacher had known what he was really doing, then it would have been a little bit of a holiday, I think. There was another time on ski camp. We went away to Mount Buller on a trip with everyone, and we're all on the ski lift, and there's people right up the top, of course, and right down the bottom. And David thought, well, what's that rope do? Whack. Whack, and hit it. It was the emergency stop. So there's these people up the top just swinging like this and turn around. One bloke cracked it. "I'm going to get you, mate, when you get out of here. I'm going to get you." And the fella's instructor skied down, said, "What's going on? What happened? Did you stop that? Did you do that?" David, in his typical style, said, "No, wasn't me." I think we were in the same group quite a few times at school, but there was a few shifts, and they were trying to shift us both around so it didn't clash with someone else, and so we were just on the move all the time. We must have both passed year 11 though, or close enough to it after year 10. So off we went to 16 Grange Road, Sandringham, which was his uncle and auntie, the Lewis family's house. And we had Adam Vardy there too with us, and there was a few cameos as well. And that was, none of us had a licence, so we were always getting the groceries on push bike, and that was intriguing until kept things going. And that was when I saw his serious side, and that's when we saw his capability and organisation style. And my organisation was absolutely shit house compared to his. The one biggest thing that stood out at the time was he hated buying skinny milk for Adam. He used to come, "I'm not buying that worm milk this week, Adam, I'm not buying it." But so we ended up shifting Adam's wheat bix into the Vitabrits and switched them around. And he said, "You didn't know, did you?" "Yeah, yes, I did. But anyway, finally got a licence. He said, so he got the Datto 200B, the silver one. He loved it. at just the right amount of modifications, tinted windows, good set of wheels on it. He drove it pretty hard, and I did a quick calculation the other day, and 2,967 times that boom, boom, boom come back to my room got played in that car. He also liked playing driveway cricket and slogging Aunt Murray and myself as far as he could into the park, which brought him great. He just would laugh for hours about it. In 1987, it was both our first year out of thirds, and trained in a cohort of us trained with the Sandy under-19s, thanks to some old contacts of Jimmy's still down there. And it was here we saw David's determination to make the senior side. How he got there, he knew he wasn't the quickest across the ground, but he had a great set of hands, cracked in hard, and was a deadly shot for goal, of which he crafted by having close to 100 shots after training. He made the premiership team, which was immense pride to the family, with Stephen coaching, Andrew playing a huge role all year, and with only Stick unfortunately missing due to a knee injury. It was the first in 19 years for the club, and we were also happy whether you played or not. After Melbourne, we didn't see as much of each other, but there was a bit more footy at Devon to be had when Stick took when Stick took a coaching job, a couple of the boys went up to Griffith. David got a job in the poultry factory, a poultry farm, and he had a truck that he used to drive around, and you can imagine the confusion. I think the Inghams might have thought they'd sold out to the competition when they saw a truck go past, and the wind deflector on the truck had Dunko written on, spray painted across it. He loved that truck, I think. He just wouldn't get out of it. After stints at Sale and trips up north with Ollie and Denise, he made his way up here, and it was a privilege to come up and help build he and Rob's house out at Eastwood and work at the restaurant at Paynesville when they first opened. Last 15 years for me personally, not as much contact time, and I'm glad Matty and others we grew up with had kept in contact more. We did always have a quick laugh or chat over an Instagram post, and it'd be something to do with Charlie or him singing, or they all seem to be things that go well together. A few weeks ago, he sent a group chat to a few of us saying, "Mates for life." Amen, brother. We all wish we could have made a difference for you, but we have to take what we can take. Some small way, I'm sure, but cherish the memories like never before. We often hear about random acts of kindness, and it mostly relates to strangers. Let's not confine it to that. Search your phone or your memories and reach out to someone that you haven't seen, for a while, and you don't know how that might change their day or their week. We all know, and it'll be said time and time again, how much you loved your family, your mum, your dad, and extended family, your nieces, brothers, sisters. Fly high, Rackman, and keep sprinkling the love and good vibes to those here. We know you can.
Thanks, Murray. Terrific tribute from Dunks' earlier years, and I was watching his family. They were having lots of smiles when remembering those special things about David as a young boy. So thanks so much for that. I'd now like to ask Chris Duffy, Bluey Stewart, and beautiful Paris is going to come up with the boys, and they're going to share with us some memories. Thanks, guys.
Right, welcome everyone, and I'd like to say a big thanks to the Dunkleys for giving me the opportunity to speak a little bit about David. Now, fun times, crazy times, as we all know. The last, I suppose, few months has been pretty tough. There's a few of our mates here. I've got Kappa, not sure if Mel Sealy's here, Fletch, and and my wife Jill, all stuck together and got through the last couple of months. It was pretty tough, but here we are today, and we're going to celebrate and make sure Crack actually shouts. Because if you would remember, if you ever got in a shout with him, it was always your shout. So I didn't know David in his early days, but when he moved to Lindenow, playing football with him was one of the, I suppose, the first memories I have of David. He was full on, he was flat out, always giving someone a hard time, ripping the players for not doing the drills properly. And then in saying that, he'd go to the back of the lawn and be a clown. Stuff around at the back, ripping blokes for not kicking it properly. All the things everyone would know. While playing with David, being on the ground with him, he was pretty tough and he was lippy, and he thought he was the best full forward in the league. I think he thought he was Richo, actually. If he led and whoever kicked it to him didn't get it to him in the right spot, did you not know about it? It'd be like, fair dinkum. You got one job. Fuck. Back he'd go, line up again. Happened regularly. As we know, Dunk's always wanted the best. Whether it was his cars, himself, the kids, everything he done was a very high level. And spending, I suppose, the last 10 years with him living in Lindenow, he was a great mate, he was a friend, but he was also a pain in the arse. Because we lived very close by, there'd be text messages every day, sometimes 3, 4, 5 a day. Call in for a beer, bud. I'm like, sorry, mate, I'm busy. I'm at work. Oh, fuck's sake. Busy, are you? Yeah, mate. Yeah, righto, dork. Good on you. You know, all the carry on you can remember. Then, I guess what brought us closer, we started coaching junior football. I was already coaching at Lindenow. I think I'd done the under-12s and under-14s. David come along. I think he coached the under-12s, I believe, Logs. Won a grand final there. Then we decided we had some good kids playing. We wanted to go bigger and better. So off we go to Bairnsdale. In the first year we get there, he'd reined in kids. I'd never met half of them in my life. He knew the good players, knew where they'd come from. He actually made a coaching manual and a booklet for everyone to take home and read. He was that passionate about it. It was a massive, massive effort that year to actually turn up at a club for the first time and actually win a grand final. It was pretty special. As we know, David with his phones, social media, texts, videos, is an absolute pest. I'm pretty sure nearly everyone here would have copped one of them or something. Driving along, taking videos of himself singing some ridiculous song, sounded shit. And it never stopped. And if you didn't reply for at least a day or 2 days, you would get a donut. Every day until you got back to him. Like, far out, mate. You busy, are you? Right, David? Fair enough. In saying that, a few times when he started A1, he bought the Scania. That was his pride, the big Scania. Had to be the best, he reckons. Anyway, we're not sure if he'd had a semi-licence before or not, but I had to go with him. Wow. It was the scariest truck driver I've seen. Quick, up someone's arse the whole time. Road rage never stopped at all. Fucking move! He carried on the whole time. I felt like getting out. I'm like, David, you need to slow down, mate. It's not a race car. Nah. Anyway, he did his trips in record time, apparently. Everyone else is too slow, as the drivers would know. Should be able to do it in 5.5 hours. Fucking dorking around. But saying that, he loved having someone around. He was always up for a chat. He'd bring you a messenger, call in, come and have a beer, whether you were busy or not. He'd pester you until you went round, had a beer with him, talk a bit of crap. And that's just how he was. The OCD part, wow. Parra's got some stories about OCD and washing cars, trucks, vans. He would literally open the doors with the pressure washer going and pressure wash the whole sill of the door, nearly getting the dash, but I don't know how he did it. He was pretty good at it. I think he washed Paris's car that much, there's no paint left on the mirrors. The Lanteri truck wash copped it at least 3 or 4 times a week. And one of the other things that used to get us all was his coffee. He should have been a barista, I would have thought, the way he carried on. He'd ring you. He'd just been to Badger and Hare on the way down to Morwell. This is fucking rubbish. And he'd wind the window down and throw the coffee out the window. And then get on social media and give him a spray for it. Shit. There he is, in a truck with A1 written on it with phone numbers on it. And he's carrying on. Like, not sure he didn't get many phone calls, mate, but whatever. And as we know, he knew everything. He was good at it. But he had a huge heart and would do anything for you. He was a great mate. And we all respected him, all us mates that stuck around and were close to him. We had great nights at Ross Street with his pool and then his spa. He just had to have everything. Every little thing that opened and shut, that was David. Had to be the best, and it was. He'd done a great job. He's raised some great kids. He's a credit to his family. And most of all, he loved you guys.
All right. All right. Should have hosted this at the Bairnsdale Aerodrome. There's that many planes landing today. Where do you start with a bloke like Dunks? We all know he'd have a view, but for once he's not able to dictate the terms. You can already feel him getting the shits with not being able to call the shots. If you could put up with him for more than 5 minutes and maybe spend 5 hours with him, you'd realise that your first impression of him being a complete pest and pain in the arse was entirely correct. Despite this, there will be plenty of good things said about his life and his achievements today. But at the end of it, you know, somewhere he's in absolute exasperation because we forgot a small piece of information, a tiny crumb that only he could remember and only he considered important because it changed the narrative of the story. As a friend, he'd challenge you because the way he saw it, perception isn't always reality. And he wasn't afraid to speak his mind. Which brings me to how we became mates. Back in 2012, I agreed to help out at the Lindenow Footy Club. I remember when I told a few people what I was doing, they had a common question. How well do you know David Dunkley? And the truth was I didn't know him at all. A few alarm bells started going off, but I was in too deep by this stage. And in any case, I was just happy to judge him how I found him. Well, I found him walking around the back oval at Lindenow in the pre-season in a suit and tie. And I thought to myself, gee, this bloke actually is a wanker. Then he shook my hand warmly and made deliberate eye contact, always important in his book, and said, welcome to the club. I've heard we'll do great things together. And if you have any issues, just come and see me. From that point on, Dunks and I became great mates. He was a great friend to me, my family, and a few mates that were down the line. He was also somewhat of a mentor, or in his words, I learned everything from the master. But I'm not sure all his lessons were appropriate, because anyone who knows Dunks knows he lived to do a deal. It didn't matter if it was getting a few extra dollars in the pocket, after all, cash is king, or knocking down price on something for the fun of it. Dunks loved being on the winning end of a deal. From relentlessly renegotiating whose shout it was 3 or 4 times in a night so he bought less, to running rackets on AFL Grand Final tickets, sincere apologies to anyone here who bought them from him. He'd chip footy recruits $10 a week if they wouldn't commit to club expectations. There's probably a few blokes here who are still burnt from sitting in his office while he writes out special conditions in their contracts. Or the times Dunks flew under an alias because he knew someone who will remain anonymous who could get cheap flights for family members. He wanted to do a deal on everything, and more times than not, he did the extra work to make sure the odds were tilted in his favour. As soon as I got a message saying plus, got some platinum for you, I knew there was a 45-minute phone call to brief me on his latest transaction coming my way. Whilst there are a few times Dunks failed to come out on top, he would always talk about it, identify where he went wrong, and tell me how he was going to fix it the next time round. He held himself accountable, which is why he was so passionate about getting things done right. Anyone who was fortunate or unfortunate enough to be in his orbit at Linnanoe and Bairnsdale got held to this standard. I have a lot of sympathy for the volunteers who manned the coffee machines because there were very few people who could make what he considers a decent coffee. Those who bought into his way of things were rewarded with knowing that if they ever needed help, you could always call Dunks. He was a footy-obsessed, deal-making extraordinaire and coffee connoisseur, but he was also someone who at all times had the best interests of his family at heart and was so dedicated to his loved ones. Look, I'll land the plane there, but if there's one thing Dunks would probably like me to say, it's that if he didn't start at centre-half back that day in the 97 grand final, Linnanoe might have won. Crack, wherever you are, I know you've got it sorted.
Wow, I actually can't believe this is real. We've been overwhelmed by the love and support from everyone, so thank you all. Dear Dad, you taught us how to work hard and be driven. You always figured out a way to get shit done, and your way was always right, of course. You and I fought a bit growing up, but it was because of our similarities. Strong-willed and passionate. Both of us like to have the last say. But even when we clashed, I always knew you had good intentions at heart and you just wanted the best for us. You were very loyal and protective, dramatic when you needed to be and sometimes when you didn't. Like the world's worst brain freeze in Darwin. Head in your hands, you dropped to the grass in the middle market. We were all shocked, oh my God, Dad, you're okay? What's wrong? And you replied, brain freeze. Dramatic. The stories of you being a complete pest when you were younger clearly translate to adulthood. You were always up to something. Like the night you let fireworks off when Mum was in Vietnam, the cows in the paddock below our place got out on the road and the police came knocking at my bedroom window in the middle of the night. You tried to talk your way out of it, in your jocks as well, but they'd already found the remnants in the bin. I remember lying there thinking, only Dad. One day he came home with a caravan, much to Mum's surprise, like that was a completely normal purchase to make without any discussion. Cheers for the van, Crofty. Towing us kids around the paddock with the biscuit on the back of the quad bike that was definitely meant for boating, not hooning around a paddock. Also putting us on the back of sheep to ride around the paddock. That nearly ended very badly. Putting eye drops in Ruby's eyes right before our first A grade final, only to realise they were out of date by 11 years. He said, she'll be right. I'm lucky Rubes can still see. Then there was the A1 merch obsession, sticking the stickers on everyone's cars, giving everyone hats and jumpers, and giving them a tune-up if they weren't wearing it. Fine, just give it back if you're not going to wear it. Constantly wearing your uniform 24/7. You'd rank us kids, who's A2, you're definitely A4 today, based on whoever was being most helpful or most annoying at that particular time. But we all knew Charlie Boy was definitely A1. A coffee addict, as we know, you're impossible to please. When I worked at the Nico store, I'd make yours when you'd come in. I knew it was decent if you gave it a 6 out of 10, because that was basically a gold medal in your standards for coffee. Anything less and it would get launched out the truck window, as we've heard, so that never happened to one of mine, thankfully, but your standards were very high when it came to coffee. We never knew what to expect when you were ordering food. One day in the drive-thru, I'll get one of your chicken burgers, you know, the good one, not the shit one. And then you would call them up once you'd left to complain about the chips being cold. We all know you loved your music and you thought you were quite the singer, always having a beer in the spa and sending everyone in your phone videos of you singing Cold, Cold Heart. You snored the house down at night like you were in a competition with yourself. This was not fun in the caravan. You are also an expert netball coach from the sidelines, always giving Rubes and I after the game, telling us what we could have done differently, and you were loud and passionate during the games. I'm going to miss hearing you yell out whilst we were playing, and even getting in Barney's on the sidelines. Anyways, time for me to land the plane. Dad, it's so special to see how many people are here today to honour your life. Rubes, Logs and I promise to stick together, and I know you'll be so proud of us for the way we've handled the last 3 weeks. Dad, you were certainly one of a kind. We're going to miss you so much, and life was never boring with you around. We'll treasure the good memories forever. We know you'll be dorking around up there. Thank you for everything. Rest easy, Dad. Love, Parry, Rubes and Logs.
Thanks. Daft Bluey and most of all Paris. That can't have been easy. She was determined to do it. She gave me the thumbs up earlier and she was, brilliant. So thank you. So many memories. I reached out to many of Dunk's mates over the last few weeks. I wasn't sure what was going to be shared today, and really what is resonating amongst all the tributes is exactly the same thing. Dunk's was one of a kind, as Paris mentioned. A lovely way to share all those memories and stories, and there's lots, let me tell you. Obviously, I was emailed, I was inundated with just all these different stories, and there was just too many to share today. So after we conclude here at the Christian Centre, the family are headed down to the Bairnsdale Football Netball Club rooms, and that's a great chance to continue sharing those memories and stories of Dunks in a less formal setting. So I know that his family would love it if you were able to join them this afternoon, and I really do think they want a true celebration of his life. On that note, we now have an opportunity to take a trip down memory lane and enjoy a photo presentation. There's been some rippers. He loved to take photos, as we know, and there's been some great photos chosen for today, along with some great music. So please enjoy this trip down memory lane.
It's amazing how you can speak right to my heart. Without saying a word, you can light up the dark. Try as I may, I can never explain what I hear when you don't say a thing. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. All day long I can hear people talking out loud. But when you hold me near, you drown out the crowd. Try as they may, they can never define what's been said between your heart and mine. The smile on your face lets me know that you need me. There's a truth in your eyes saying you'll never leave me. The touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. Touch of your hand says you'll catch me wherever I fall. You say it best when you say nothing at all. That smile on your face, the truth in your eyes, the touch of your hand lets me know that you need me. You say it best when you say nothing at all. You say it best when you say nothing at
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
Some terrific memories there, some very happy times. Well, today is a reminder to us all of how short life really can be and how we are all simply just passing through. We know that we should have had more time with Dunks, and it breaks our heart to be here today celebrating a life cut short. If only he had known how many people care, how many lives he touched, how many people are here today because he mattered to them. We can't live our lives thinking about all the things that might have been. Instead, the best way we can honour Dunks is by living our best lives, show kindness, and remember that everyone is carrying something, whether we can see it or not. If we can all do that, then Dunks' life will have meant something, and it will inspire us to surround ourselves with love and with people who help us remember that we're never alone. Before we conclude, I would like to just take this opportunity once again to thank you all for being here and for surrounding the Dunkley family with your love and your support and your friendship. A special thank you also to those who have travelled from distances with family and friends from all over Australia here today. The outpouring of love, the phone calls, the messages, the flowers, and the support from far and wide has been appreciated more than anyone can know. I would also like to acknowledge the family's wish that we support Beyond Blue. It's their way of creating something positive from this loss. There is a QR code at the front entrance, and I believe it will be taken down to the football club rooms this afternoon, should you wish to honour Dunks in this way. That's a lovely way to honour his memory by supporting a cause that does so much work. Dunks will miss you more than words can say. We'll miss your honesty, your straight talking, your laugh, and the way you showed up for the people that you loved. We hope you found that peace that felt out of reach here. We hope the weight you are carrying has been lifted. We promise to look out for Paris, Ruby and Logs to stand beside your whole family and to keep telling the stories that make us laugh and shake our heads all at the same time. We'll speak your name often and we won't forget you. And we'll try to honour you in the best way we know how, by being real with each other, by checking in, by saying what needs to be said, and by not taking the people we love for granted. Rest easy, Dunks. You were certainly one of a kind. And wherever you've landed, we hope the fish are biting, the beer is ice cold, and the lions bring it home again just for you. And remember, never, ever, this is for everyone here, stop dorking around. As we leave today, we are going to listen to one of those songs that Paris alluded to earlier. It's one of Dunks' favourite songs, and I'm sure many of you here would have received it via video. I saw a copy of it the other day, and it's not very good singing of Dunks, but this is a song that I hope captures his spirit and leaves you all with a smile. Thank you all for being here.
Heart down